everyone. This is Karen Hung, CEO and founder of Silver Rock Consulting, where we work with clients on growth and transformation. Today, we're so excited to have Grady Crosby with us. I've known Grady over the years. Grady is the Vice President of Public Affairs, the Chief Diversity Officer, and the President of the Johnson Controls Foundation, all under the umbrella of Johnson Controls, Inc., a global provider of building efficiency and systems. Grady, welcome.
Thank you so much, Karen. I'm very pleased to be here and with you today to talk to you about transformation.
Yeah, it's great. And Grady, I've known you over the years, and what I would love to share with the audience is I believe you have a tremendous influence and corporate voice, as well as certainly I'm aware of a number of civic responsibilities that you have in just your engagement in the broader communities. And on a personal level, you know, with all the coffees and conversations that you and I've had over the years, I would just share with the audience, I've seen a lot of personal tenacity from you as well. So just a lot of respect going across the lines here to you and for you and on what you and you're doing through JCI as well as doing personally.
Well, thank you so much, Karen. Thank you so much for saying that. I think it kind of comes with the territory that I'm in, trying to be a good corporate citizen. And it starts, kind of by example. You have to project that which you want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about that. That's a great starting place. Johnson Controls, like the rest of the world, has gone through, basically 3 pandemics, right? The COVID, the economic, and certainly a lot of the racial issues that have been surfaced or amplified of late. So let's see if we can cover all 3 of those in our short period of time. Grady, share with us what and how Johnson Controls is thinking about business reemergence, especially on the external facing side from a market view, and then we'll move into what you all are doing and thinking through from a workforce standpoint. So from a market view.
Yeah, so really for us, we're in a unique position because we don't necessarily look at it as a reemergence. It is definitely a continuation for us. Johnson Controls early on was deemed to be one of the essential businesses because of all the technology infrastructure we provide for certain essential services like hospitals and the transportation areas. We've been very involved with the U.S. Department of Corps of Engineers, National Guard, with regard to testing sites, with regard to setting up COVID-19 temporary facilities, if you will. And this started even back in Wuhan and moved across the globe to when the pandemic hit the United States as well. So we have a number of our people who've continued to work through this. We've definitely looked at how we can innovate and change the way we work based on our circumstances. So the quote unquote restart for us is really all around making sure that those who were able to do their work remotely now get back integrated in how we're going out and taking care of our clients' essential needs. And so we're trying to make sure that the safety of our employees is certainly our number one priority. But secondly, making sure that they are able to be supportive in our clients as they talk about their new normal and how can we support them with regard to our technology, with regard to our products and services, assume their new position in terms of trying to carry out their missions.
Grady, in some of the conversations you and I've had, especially of recent days, you talked about some specific things you're thinking through from a technology standpoint, as well as from a workforce configuration standpoint. So share with our audience some of those plans and some of the thinking.
Yeah, so a lot of the thinking is around, again, making sure that everyone is safe in their environments. We talked a lot about, when all of this is going on, the states were coming out with the, kind of safer at home or safe at home protocols. Johnson Controls want to make sure that people can be safe in their offices as well. So we're trying to share with our clients technology that we can deployed to their offices that help with air filtration, making sure that there is clean air continuing to recirculate through their buildings, even with regard to contact tracing within the building, and making sure that those who are moving around the building, whether it be through our technologies of cameras and identifying thermal issues that are going on with people in the building, making sure that those who operate the building can do it in the safest manner possible. And so we are having seminars with different owners and companies on a daily basis about how we can make your environment safe, but also predictable in this environment.
You know, Grady, as you're saying these things, I'm just wondering, what are maybe one or two of the challenges that Johnson Controls has heard from its client base in terms of moving forward?
Well, you know, some of the challenges continue to be around psyche and making sure people are comfortable in their environments as they go back to work. Some of it is the challenge just of change. You know, change is one of those things that people deal with differently, and it has its own cycles of, you know, rejection and acceptance and things of that nature. So helping building owners, site owners, employers be able to help their people manage through this change process, and even trying to some extent helping them support a hybrid environment, because we think, and perhaps there will be some forms of remote working to continue on going forward. So how can those who have made a tremendous investment in buildings and making sure that offices are safe, comfortable, and sustainable, how can they maximize that as they try to think about what a hybrid environment may look like going forward as well?
Yeah. Well, you know what's so interesting at Silver Rock, we've been thinking a lot about what we are wanting to coin as the emerging normal, the difference between the old normal and the new normal, and how what we're doing today in this emerging normal will influence the future as we impact the now. How do we plan for the now that will help shape the way work is being done into the future? And it sounds like you're right in the throes of all that.
Yeah, we certainly are. You know, we don't think that there is a circumstance or situation where there won't be any use for people going into offices. We certainly think that that will be a part of our future going forward as well. So how do we make sure that that fits into societal's new norm about how work is viewed, how work is looked at, and making sure people are included as a part of that? You know, it becomes fairly difficult if the only connection you have to your employer is through a computer screen. And so employers really have to look at a way of making sure that not only we maintain that connectivity with our people, but also that our people have a place and feeling of belonging within that company as well. And you know, I know we're going to get into a little of this as well as we go on through our conversation today, but that sense of belonging is also what helps to create what we know and talk about in terms of a company culture as well.
Yeah. Well, Grady, let's move into that, because one thing that really intrigued me with the conversations we've been having is around the point you just raised, is the cultural impact of employees. How are you all thinking through how to influence as well as safeguard elements of your culture at Johnson Controls? And in so doing, you're also, I'm sure, extending that in some way or shape and form to your clients in the market.
Yeah, no doubt. So again, we're trying to lead by example. And I think first of all, we had to make sure that we acknowledge the environment that we're living in, and that people are concerned about what's going on around them, from, you know, not only, as you talked about, the kind of trifecta that has hit us. And the interesting thing about that, you know, a lot, you know, businesses have always been built to be resilient, to handle the known unknowns, if you will, as they occur. This has been different because those known unknowns have occurred simultaneously around the globe. And so you've been hit really hard, but we've tried to make sure that we acknowledge that people are concerned about their health. People are concerned about the economy and how this COVID-19 environment is impacting that and their jobs and livelihood and things of that nature. And also, people are concerned about what's going on around us with regard to racial equity and social justice type movements as well. So as a part of our culture, we've always talked about the fact that we wanted to create environments where people could have difficult conversations in a safe place, because we think that interaction between our people helps foster just getting to know people a little bit better, which helps with regard to how we interact with each other, we ideate with one another, and at the end of the day, it's all about developing that mutual respect. There's an old adage that says it's hard to hate from up close.
Mm.
And so as we facilitate more ways that our people can engage in these discussions and not sweep it under the rug again and not bury their heads in the sand to act like, oh, that's out there, but now we're in Johnson control, so we have to be solely focused on what we're doing. No, what happens out in the greater society impacts how we move forward in our business environment as well. And our managers and our people have to acknowledge that and deal with it and have conversations to try to figure out where that understanding is. And notice I didn't say, total acceptance, if you will, because, perhaps maybe you and I will never totally agree with regard to where I stand and where you stand. But as we talk to each other, we can at least seek knowledge. And it is that pursuit of knowledge that at least provides the basis for us to understand our respective points. And because we work together in a common enterprise and have a common interest, and we've sought the knowledge to understand each other, we can have a mutual respect for our respective positions as we, again, pursue all of the eloquent solutions that we're trying to deploy for our customers at the same time.
Grady, that's really great. You've talked a lot about mutual understanding, and then also trust building, culture building, and in a way, first to then deliver commercial excellence, right, to the marketplace on a global basis. Let's move deeper into perhaps your role. Since you have a range of scope of responsibilities, into your Chief Diversity Officer role, as well as kind of who I know you to be, right, in our broader community, and talk about how and what to think about in terms of the racial equities that our society is facing today. And I would say, certainly we're living in the U.S. and seeing it in the U.S., but it's a global issue, and the world, for all three of the pandemics, right, are really kind of at a place where everybody's acknowledging that. And I would just say in a number of panels that I've personally been part of or been very close to, there's been so much that people are seeking to learn and to hear, which I'm very encouraged by, because I do think listening and learning are actions that will lead to hopefully bigger and more impactful actions. So, Grady, what are you seeing today, and what are some things that you think are really important for our audience to consider in the light of racial equity?
Yeah, and so especially on the business side, it kind of comes down to making sure that everyone in your environment, has a voice, and that voice is respected and heard and counted, and they really feel that, and really know that they're a valuable part of contributing to their own success, and making sure that in that people have a fair opportunity to continue to advance and be promoted, and share all of the successes that you would expect when you show up at work and you do a great job, regardless of your gender, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your sexual preferences or religion, what have you. Those are the things that, again, people at the end of the day just want to make sure they're being treated fairly. So for us, we've, of course, taken a step back, and we think that, that's good for everyone, that before, you start picking and prodding in the larger society or your industry or your sector, take a good look at yourself to see where you are. And so we've done some reassessments in our business as well to look at our representation levels of women within our leadership ranks, representation level of ethnic minorities within our leadership ranks, and specifically within the United States, African Americans, and really ask some tough questions as to why. Why do the numbers look like they look? And so it's caused us to readjust some of our thinking around, one, how we go out and recruit, and where do we go out to recruit, and asking our managers, and especially, of course, those who are hiring people, people managers, are you being conscious about looking for people who don't necessarily look like you? Are you being conscious for looking for people who don't necessarily think like you, talk like you, or even act like you? So what is that conscious inclusion muscle that you are trying to exercise? So that's from just a snippet on the recruitment side, but also as a part of that, we think a very vital part of it is around sponsorship of our diverse talent within our organization. I think you talk to some, whether it be women or minorities, and some would tell you, Grady, I've been coached to death. I've been mentored to death. What I really need is someone to really speak out on my behalf, to sponsor me, if you will, for the next role, to say that despite, maybe not checking this box or that box, this person has the emotional IQ, this person has a demonstrated history of being productive, of success, that this is a role that they are ready for. I dare say anyone that's listening to this, this interview would say that every single role they had, they were 100% prepared for the role that they stepped into. If they can say that, then I would say perhaps they may have set their sails too low and maybe should have stretched a little bit more, because, a lot of times our career paths have gone in different ways based on the associations that we've had with people and the demonstrated performance we've been able to show with them. So recruitment, retention, promotion, a big part of it. Sponsorship, a big part of it as well, because at the end of the day, we think some of these social equity issues are rooted in economic issues. Mm-hmm. So if we can help to raise, if you will, the awareness of industries and employers around the economic plight of traditionally underrepresented people, then perhaps we can start building back stronger middle classes, stronger upper classes, stronger just communities that have that are making sure that all people are making a living wage, a family supporting wage, to be able to participate in this great economic engine that everyone talks about. It's great to have a strong engine, but if everyone doesn't have the key, the engine just kind of sits out there and it roars and looks pretty. We want to make sure that everyone has a key to turn on their engine and to participate. And that's a lot of the reasons why Johnson Controls is heavily involved in the supplier diversity space as well, because we want to make sure that our first of all, our supply chain is resilient, it's competitive, but one way to do that is to make sure that we are incorporating women and minority-owned businesses in a significant way within our supply chain capabilities.
That's awesome, Grady. I couldn't agree with you more about the social economic impact, right? And that lever to really lift all boats, and also use that in a very productive way to address equity issues. And so that's really terrific. The other piece that I heard you talk about, which is a very practical matter around recruiting and hiring, retaining talent that may or may not look like you or look like me, look like the person, right? Is the adage around, well, I can't find people in the pipeline. What do you say to leaders and managers who can't seem to find the right type of pipeline?
I say you're not looking hard enough. I say that the talent is there. You know what? We look for engineers at Johnson Controls. It would be a shame if we say that we can't find any African-American engineers in the US when there's a whole cadre of historically Black colleges and universities that are producing over 70% of the world's African-American engineers. So if we're looking for African-American engineers, we need to go to some HBCUs to find them. And again, if we need women engineers, there's a great organization called the Society of Women Engineers who are holding conferences every year with upwards of 15, 16, 17,000 women engineers. What do you mean you can't find them? We've worked on this pipeline for so long that I'm convinced that someone is intentionally poking holes in the pipeline because it continues to leak. We need to shore up those holes, and we need to go and be assertive and active in finding the type of talent that we need.
Wow, that's great. I know we could go on and on for quite a bit more, but just for the moment and to close out for our time today, I'd love to hear from you. What are you hopeful for, and what are you optimistic about? And in terms of now and into our future, and how do we make sure we make this moment count? What are you hopeful for, optimistic about, and how do we make sure we make this moment count?
Yeah, I'm really. That's a great question. I'm really hopeful for the spirit of innovation that's going to continue to come out of this moment, for us to realize in everything that we do that nothing is guaranteed or ever presumed to always be constant, despite how comfortable we get with it. And so that means we always have to have on, in the first grade, your teacher would say, now put on your thinking cap. We always need to have on our innovation cap because there's so many, we think about disruptors coming from industries, but life itself can sometimes be a disruptor. And if we're not thinking about how to innovate in those tough times, it really gets kind of burdensome, and will take people places of discomfort that they don't necessarily have to go if we look at it from an opportunistic standpoint. I'm really optimistic about the new voices. I say new voices, maybe they aren't new voices, but the way these voices of Black, brown, white people have showed up together in sort of a new way that I keep saying, using that word new, at least I haven't seen before. And it seems like that this is definitely more than a moment. People talk about this as a movement towards more racial equality, social justice, making sure Black and brown people are making a living wage, making sure there's a higher representation at management level, at leadership levels, in the board of directors room. And so this is the opportunity of a lifetime. And I've heard it said that in order for you to take advantage of an opportunity of a lifetime, you have to do so within the lifetime of that opportunity. So now is our time to really seize the momentum that we're seeing in this space And if we don't make some change, we don't make the numbers move and create greater inclusivity and diversity within our ranks, shame on us.
Well, certainly that's great to end on. Let's seize the moment, take advantage of the opportunity of a lifetime in the lifetime of the opportunity. Love that. Thank you so much, Grady, for sharing your perspective and your insights, and keep on doing what you do so well in terms of lending your voice and influence for not only Johnson Controls, but certainly the broader community. Appreciate you.
Karen, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.